One of the things that actually impressed me the most personally is the pressure sensor. Um, we always knew that it would detect overbrushing, but the underbrushing is really key because I find that a lot of patients are underbrushing. So, and to be honest, when I tried it, it turns out that I was underbrushing in some areas too, which totally shocked me, meaning that if I'm underbrushing, most of my patients probably are too. And with all the safety research that is behind it, it's nice to know that there is kind of a happy medium or happy pressure that's safe and effective and not on either end of the spectrum. So that was one of the features that actually impressed me the most. That is going to be really beneficial for the patients that I see that are very nervous about recession and all of that. And so it's nice to be able to stand behind something and be comfortable with recommending something to patients that you know isn't going to cause any damage. One of the things that I really liked about it is that I felt like it got underneath the gum line a little bit easier, and it felt more effective. I don't know if it was or not than the other Oral-B brush, but and again, it felt safe underneath the gums. It felt like it tucked kind of underneath, and that's the other thing I really liked about it. It hugs each individual tooth. So I find that a lot of our patients tend to try and brush like 3 or 4 or 5 teeth at one time, and with the brush, it wraps around each individual tooth, which I think will help bring the patient back to focus on what they're actually trying to do. With regards to the evidence that I listened to about today about the IO brush, it's all like really promising. Obviously, I haven't had a lot of time to actually dig into that research, so I can't really answer that question. But I have had a lot of time digging into the past Oral-B brushes. I've spent a lot of time looking at that research. So because it's not anything, there's not a different technology. It's still an oscillating, rotating toothbrush. The evidence is already sort of there to support that. It's just nice now that there's a few more sort of details added that's going to probably enhance the patient experience, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that comes alive just in clinical practice. Well, I'm really excited about that part because with the app, it doesn't need to be in your bathroom, which is just kind of one more thing that patients may not do because it's automatically going to download all of that information into the app. It's not only important for the patient, but I think the important part about that aspect will be actually bringing that into the clinic. So, okay, here's where we're still seeing bleeding. Why are we still seeing bleeding? So it's a question, well, I'm doing everything you told me. And so it's kind of a bit of it can be a frustrating conversation, but if they can just bring their phone in, it makes it a lot easier to see, okay, well, you still have bleeding on the mesial aspect of your 3-6. Well, this might be why. If you angle the brush this way, bring in the brush, we can, let's review that area. So it'll give it a little bit more patient focus. And same for like the clinician addressing that with the patient. It's just, it's very, patient-centered, which I think is very important. So you're identifying the problem right away versus, okay, well, try this at home and, see how that goes. It's like, okay, no, bring your app in. Let's see what you've been doing. And I think that also makes the patient accountable. So if you know that someone's actually going to check, you are, potentially more likely to follow up. Or, in the other hand, if you're looking at their perio chart and it's, some deteriorating health, we can also go back and see, okay, why? Oh, well, I actually stopped using that brush. I went back to my manual. So I think that'll be a nice way to ensure patient compliance. And I'm really excited to see those results. I would say the general population is going to benefit from it, anyone with the dexterity to use it, as well as sort of the willingness, I guess, to be very patient and move it around and use those techniques. So I'm really passionate about my perio patients, so I think that's something I'm very excited to recommend to. And I think even the teen population that's really into social media and their phones and whatnot, it might be a way to actually engage them, especially if they're coming in obviously more frequently than once a year, to establish a habit. And so even when we talk about establishing a habit, having even younger younger people try it, depending on the size of their teeth or hands or whatever like that. If they are able to use it effectively, then it might be a nice way to make sure that they are never overbrushers or never underbrushers, and to establish that habit early on versus when they do have some periodontal disease. So I would say most of the population will be able to use it.